Welcome to our slash reader of Reddit. Today's story is AITA for telling a group of women to leave my son's hospital room so I could dress him in private. My 9-year-old son Loren had his appendix removed this morning. He had a basic understanding of the surgery, but the only hang-up he had was having to wear nothing but a hospital gown. No socks or underwear. When we got to the hospital room to get him prepped, he told his mom/my ex and her sister/his aunt to turn or to leave when he had to undress. Obviously, he was fine with my being there and needed help. After the surgery, me, my ex, her sister, her 13-year-old niece, and my 18-year-old son were in the recovery room. We were waiting for Loren to sober up and get discharged. He started to come to and whispered to me that he wanted to put clothes on because wasn't comfortable wearing nothing but a gown in front of 3 girls. At that same time, a female nurse came in to get his vitals and was talking to my ex. I asked if they could all step outside so I could help Loren get dressed. They looked bewildered at my request. The nurse then said she'd help me dress him because my son was still a bit weak. I said no thanks. My teen son will help out. She asked if I was serious by asking her to leave over this, and I said yes. My son doesn't feel comfortable getting dressed in front of 4 females. The nurse said she's been a nurse for years and has heard of anything crass. I said you're comfortable, my son isn't, and you're being insensitive is what's crass and clueless. My said I was being dramatic. They left and me and my other son got him dressed. My ex called me and said that I owe her and everyone else an apology. I refused. I said if the roles were reversed then you'd have a very different opinion. Also, Loren has to take a bath for the next few days and she was crazy if she was expecting Loren to let her wash him or even be in the bathroom with him. It's different with me or his brother or friends and I don't have to convince her for me to be right. Edit. For the record, the gown he was wearing was made out of paper. It wasn't even cloth. My son was dying to get out of it. He was basically naked. I don't think my son would have minded a male nurse at all, but since me and my older son was there, the thought of requesting a male nurse didn't cross my mind. I don't know if they had a male nurse available at that moment because the nurse made a comment that they were short-staffed but all qualified. I wasn't going to argue with her over who got to put on my son's Minecraft underwear or zipped his hoodie. It's a waste of my time. She did mention how she didn't want him to get hurt with my dressing him, and I said then you best let me handle it, because he'll fight you. Update. I did have to take him back to the hospital this morning because he couldn't pee but had to. He was in a lot of pain. At the hospital, I asked if a nurse was going to see my son before or after his male doctor, and they said yes. I asked for a male, and they said they'd ask the head nurse. She asked why it was so important to have a male nurse. I told her we can schedule an appointment to fight over it after my son sees the doctor. They did find a male nurse, and my son was totally relaxed around him. The male nurse said a lot of female nurses take it personal when patients ask for a male nurse, and it's always been that way. Fortunately, my son didn't need a catheter and is fine. Next story is AITA for telling ex's fiancé she can fuck off for asking me for decor tips. My 42F and my ex, 47M, divorced 1 year ago. Shortly thereafter, his girlfriend, aka affair partner, moved into the home we previously shared. I told him to keep whatever because I went to live abroad and basically just wanted out. I wasn't even mad at him for cheating. It was a dead marriage, and his affair being exposed became the catalyst for our divorce. So we got divorced and she moved in. We hadn't talked after because there was nothing left to discuss post-divorce. Then a week ago, I get a message from her. It was really upbeat and, oh, I like the style of the house so much. Where did you get this fixture and this pieces of furniture? I sat with it for a day and finally decided to message her that since she had it all figured out, she could figure it out. She asked what I meant and I told her she obviously had everything my ex could ever want and I was the one he didn't want, so she shouldn't try to imitate me. He clearly had a taste for something different. She messaged me back saying she was trying to pay me a compliment. Then my ex texted me saying we were amicable before and he didn't understand why I was causing an issue now. He's right that we were both over our marriage, but I felt like her trying to take over where I left off aesthetically was too much. My friends and family are divided. Next story is AITA for not giving up my half of my inheritance from my mother because my sister, who's a single mom of a profoundly disabled child and needs money more. Note, I'm not in the US, so American laws don't apply here. My 30/F mother, 63/F, passed away a couple of months ago following a sudden and unexpected cardiac arrest. She owned a very nice home outright and had a fairly significant amount of savings, as both her and my father's retirement savings were in her bank account. My father died 8 years ago at 59 from cancer. My sister, Megan, 34/F, is a single mother to 2 sons aged 7 and 5, both of whom have autism, with the youngest being profoundly autistic and will require round-the-clock care for life. She doesn't work and is reliant on care payments from the government and child support. Her now ex-husband divorced her because he couldn't deal with his sons, moved to another country, dual citizen, where it's hard for the government get child support because their government is difficult to work with. My mother's will divided her jewelry equally between us, and that the rest of her estate should be split equally between us. Megan is pressuring me into just taking the jewelry left to me and letting her have both the house and the money because I need it more because of the boys. You're fine and can work. I want my share and said I won't be giving it up. I'm childless and don't plan to have children. I work in legal for a nonprofit, and while I am far from balling in this economy, I'm able to pay my bills without financial stress. My fiancé is foreign-born. I met her overseas at a concert in early 2018, and we've been going back/forward as much as we can ever since. Remote work helps a lot, and we are in the process of securing her permanent residency on a partner visa here, which is an expensive and time-consuming process. Receiving my share will wipe out what's left of my student debt, allow me to take time off work to get her visa sorted faster, and buy us a small but still nice house outright so we can live without the stress of a mortgage. Not having a mortgage will afford us the ability to live comfortably but not extravagantly, take a holiday every year, and be free of financial stress. It will also pay for a small but nice wedding and to fly her parents and sister out for it. Megan is furious, saying it's selfish and I can always get a better job if I want a better life and at least I can work, and that I need to have sympathy for her situation. I don't want to give up work I am passionate about, and that gives me good work-life balance to go work 14-hour days in Big Law downtown to service a mortgage. I also feel like, as harsh as it sounds, I shouldn't have to sacrifice for her choices. My fiancé and I have chosen not to have kids, and while I know she didn't choose to have a disabled son, she did choose to gamble on parenthood. Her kids were both planned, and it's not my fault she lost by having a disabled kid and ending up a single mother. I am legally entitled it, and she can't do anything to try and get it, but she's told a few people, and a lot of them say I'm being selfish and should give up my share. That's it for today's episode. See you in the next video.